So what have you found to be those food sensitivity tests that you would recommend?
Yeah, so one of my favorites is Cyrex. And
Okay, yep.
again, from a biased but unbiased standpoint, the reason that I came to favor Cyrex is everybody else I was learning from in the autoimmune world. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was kind of getting into this space, everybody was like, Cyrex or bust, Cyrex or bust, Cyrex is the only way. And in the industry, Cyrex is considered like the best.
Yep.
And I love Cyrex, and I'm doing a webinar for Cyrex next month and things like that. So work closely with Cyrex as a company, but I also do others. Like for you and for your company, like sometimes I do finger pricks because the convenience, and I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
better or worse, but I haven't seen any evidence to say that it's any worse. But sometimes the convenience of not having to go in for a blood draw. So, and there's another company that I use called KBMO, and I learned about it from a friend of mine who's a pediatrician out in California. But you can do 22 foods, which is
Mm.
cheap, or you can do 132 foods, which is more expensive, or you can do 176 foods. So there's a little bit different variable. Cyrex, one of the problems is it's expensive, which
Hmm.
is, again, there's high value to that. I'm not saying it's too expensive. I'm just saying from a straight up price tag standpoint, not everybody's wanting to go drop 550 plus bucks on their food sensitivities. They might be just wanting to kick the tires of gluten, dairy, eggs, corn, and things like that.
Absolutely.
So I like
Yep.
having options for people too. And there's a few other companies, Ryan, that I've done in the past, but and then people will bring to me the Everlywells or the Alitesses or just some of the MRTs or things like that. So there's a lot of other companies out there, but those are the two that I kind of do the most often, by far.
Got you. Yeah, I've heard that same thing about Cyrex being really just the gold standard, and it seems like anyone who I really respect in the industry, that like exactly what you said, that
Yeah.
tends to be the test that they're using.
Yeah, and Dr. Vijaydan is
So
a mentor of mine, and somebody I've learned from for years. But he invented food sensitivity testing, like in the early '80s. So he's kind of considered the godfather of just this testing as a science itself. But he's the clinical director for Cyrex. And another thing, this isn't necessarily just a Cyrex commercial, but one of their selling points is they do raw and cooked foods because there's a lot of foods that nobody eats raw. So why are they tested raw? But a lot of the food sensitivity labs are using raw antigens, and they change when they're cooked. A cooked egg doesn't look like a raw egg does. The protein has changed, and so doing raw versus cooked is just another one of Cyrex's, I don't know, areas of excellence of
sticking
why,
points. Yep.
yeah, or why it might be a little more expensive, because it is a little more valuable. So if somebody comes to me, let's say with an auto, like I see this all the time. People come to me and they're like, I've been diagnosed with this weird autoimmune condition. I want to know what I can do. And I'm like, well, let's look for what's driving it. Like I saw somebody last week. She just started her freshman year in college at Purdue. She's got a mixed connective tissue disease. That's kind of like mixed connective tissue disease. Also, is kind of a BS diagnosis. It's like we don't know what's wrong with you, basically.
Like IBS.
Yeah, but we've got some kind of autoimmunity that's attacking your connective tissue. But it's not lupus. It's not Sjogren's. It's not RA. It's not all these things. So it's just kind of a mixed connective tissue disease, more like a broader classification. But she's clearly got autoimmunity. There's not a clear name for it, but they just wanted to
Hmm.
look for what's driving it. So we tested metals and chemical reactivities. We tested for bugs and we tested for foods. And the chemicals were completely clean. The bugs, we found maybe the most info, and the foods, we found some info too. Now, I had another person, Ryan, fairly recently, like a week before, we did the exact same three tests. The three from Cyrex, looking for the drivers of autoimmunity. And for this person, hers was chemicals. She's lost chemical tolerance. Every single chemical on there showed up in the red. And she doesn't
Mm.
notice that. She doesn't have multiple chemical sensitivity or anything like that. But when we're looking for what is your immune system reacting against, sometimes it's reacting against foods, and that's what's called oral tolerance. Sometimes it's reacting against chemicals, and that's called chemical tolerance. Sometimes it's reacting against bugs, and what's driving this loss of tolerance? And foods are one of the answers to that. But it's interesting how two people with two different autoimmune conditions might have very completely different drivers. They both might value from like a gluten-free diet or the fish oil or glutathione or certain supplements, but what are the different individual uniquenesses? That's where somebody like me comes into play, or where labs come into play too. It's like, hey, everybody should exercise, everybody should diet, everybody should whatever, take these certain supplements. What do you need? That's what labs can help guide people on.